Constraints are simply restrictions placed on the values you can put in one or more columns of a table. There's different types. The primary key, which identifies the column or columns that guarantee uniqueness within a table. The foreign key, which is restricted to values which must already exist as a primary key in another table. Unique constraints. The primary key is a type of unique constraint, but you can make other columns unique as well. And check constraint, which means only certain values are allowed in that column. Let's first look at a primary key constraint. I can click on the actors table and look at the primary key. It's actor ID and it's set by this little checkbox right here. And what that means is that this has been defined as the column where the unique key will be found to identify that particular row. If I go back to the actor table, we know that this is an auto increment number, so the system will automatically assign it. We don't need to put one in. We already have a actor ID of 1, and if I try to explicitly put in a 1 and create a new record, when I click the apply button, you can see the statement that it's going to try to run an insert statement into the actor table. But when I click apply, we get an error, and down here it says duplicate entry 1 for key actor primary. So what this does is this constraint enforces the uniqueness of the primary key. Let's now look at referential integrity constraints. In this actor table, we have Penelope Guinness, and her actor ID is a foreign key in this film actor table. The actor ID and the film ID go together in the film actor table. What the foreign key constraint means is that I cannot delete a record from the actor table if it is referenced as a foreign key in another table, because this would then create what's called an orphaned row. So if I attempt to delete this record out of the actor table, and I click apply, I get an error. It says there was an error when applying the script. Cannot delete or update a parent row. A foreign key constraint fails. This is very important because otherwise we would quickly have corruption in our database without foreign key constraints. Let's now look at a unique index. As we discussed previously, a primary key constraint is a type of unique index, but you can have other unique indexes on a column in a table. So for example, we want email to be unique. We shouldn't be able to put in the same email address for two different people. So if I click this UQ button here and then click apply, it's going to add a unique index on the email column. I'm going to go ahead and apply that and click finish. And now let's go ahead and look at some of the rows in the customer table. So what this means is if I try to add another user with the same email address as Mary Smith, I would get an error. Go down to the bottom here and I'll paste that in. Except for I'm going to remove the primary key information because that needs to be automatically assigned. And I click the apply button. It's going to make an insertion. And look, we get an error. Mary Smith cannot be duplicated. So unique indexes are important and helpful. The last kind of index is the check constraints, meaning only certain values are valid. So an example of that is if we had a gender field, we could use an enum data type where you can indicate what values are valid. So I want female or male. So the values are separated by a comma and are put inside of quotes since they're strings. And when I click the apply button, our script runs. And if I go to my actor table, I can enter a gender in for Penelope. If I enter female in and click apply, it's going to update actor and set gender to female, and that works. Nick, I'm going to male, and we'll apply that. Now, if I tried to enter something else, like a Q, when I apply, I get an error, okay, because that is not a valid value. Another data type that you might want to use where you want to restrict values is the set data type, where you can choose from a list of values, so you could have one or more of the values. I'll alter the table again, and I'm going to add a column, and I'm going to say type. And what this is have they appeared in television or film? So I'll set and I'll type film and TV. So the difference between enum and set is that set will allow you to put in multiple values. Okay, now for type, I'm going to say that Penelope was in TV. Click apply, that works. And Nick is in TV and film. And that also works. In review, constraints are simply restrictions placed on the values you can put in one or more columns of a table. There's different types. The primary key, which identifies the column or columns that guarantee uniqueness within a table. The foreign key, which is restricted to values which must already exist as a primary key in another table. Unique constraints. The primary key is a type of unique constraint, but you can make other columns unique as well. And check constraint, which means only certain values are allowed in that column.